So I'm just lying there. I mean, I'm just in bed when I'm looking at my phone at these things, and I'm just turned over and I'm just looking at my pillow, and I can't do anything for these people. They're probably dead. My best guess is, I mean, that's a long, long time ago. They'd probably be 100 years old if they were still alive. So I'm connecting to the Medal of Honor winners' parents who are 100 years old. They're likely, physically dead, and they're very upset. They're upset at me for looking at this Wikipedia thing. And what happens is it's just like this. Um, I'm empathic. It's another form of being psychic. It's like you feel what people feel, and I'm like crying. And I'm going, because Laurent and Clancy are saying, is it you? And it's not but I'm picking up the energy of this soldier's parents, and my body's picking it up and it's crying. It's like a huge, huge emotional thing that I picked up. So I waited for a little while, and what I got was they don't want me to look anymore at this Wikipedia article. So I sat there for a little while, and then, I went back to the phone and I just clicked out of it. I clicked out of it. And then we moved on to some other things. But, I just finished doing that long, long video over an hour long about my day, and then the guys, the spirits, told me there's one more thing we gotta do. We gotta do this army thing. We'll talk about it. So it's still the energy, it's this deep pain of these, the parents and the son. And I don't know if the son had siblings and, the rest of the family, but so what do I do now? The energy's still there, I often talk about the metaphysical writer Stuart Wilde, and Mr. Wilde used to go to the battlefields of Europe, World War I and World War II, and there's plenty of other ones, but he used to go there, and I guess you'd call it prayer. He used to pray for the soldiers. He said it helped them. It helped them. I don't know if they were earthbound spirits or whatever, but he would go there. Stuart Wilde was, in the beginning of his career, he was very much um, kind of a self-help kind of person, like how to get yourself into the correct mindset so you can make lots of money. But when he was much older, um, he was shown by the spirit world, the beings he used to call it. He was shown a lot of stuff. And, if you read his stuff, I mean, clearly he was highly psychic, and he was being taught by the beings, the cosmic beings, about all kinds of stuff that was not about, making yourself in a good mindset so that you can be successful in business and things. It was about the horrible evil on planet Earth. The horrible, horrible evil the beings would show Mr. Wilde. and he wrote about it in some of the last books that he wrote before he died. And he talked about the crooked politicians and crooked people in general. He was given visions of, things that he was told what's going to happen. And did those things happen? Well, there was one thing he said that, Muammar Gaddafi, the leader of Libya, was going to fall. And, he did. But there was other things that he predicted that so far have not come to pass. He said we were going to find out lots more about Princess Diana's death. But he talked a lot about what he said was the great plan for planet Earth was a great renewal, a great cleansing of all the evil people, and the renewal of Mother Earth, or Gaia. And he said a lot of things that were, about dealing with ghouls and demonics. And he said the world was infested with demonics. He said, we warn people, don't go looking into UFOs because the UFOs aren't really UFOs. They're demonics. They're demonic beings, and they take the form of UFOs. But, he was working with some of the people that he was training, and they were working on cleaning out certain areas on the planet so that these other beings could land. They had to clear out the ghouls enough so that these other beings could land, the good beings. And then the good beings were going to help clear away some of the really nasty evil on the planet. And to this day, there's still a lot of people you never know who they are. It's all, they do private little clearing ceremonies on sacred sites all over the planet that you don't know where they are. But they're psychically guided to go to these places and clean out the horrible, evil things. Horrible, evil, horrible, horrible, evil things. Well, if you watch my videos on this channel, I've talked about horrible, evil, demonics and things. So, am I just making it up? No. I'll testify. I don't know, I saw Mr. Wilde one time at an event. I didn't meet him in person, but I watched him when he was up on stage. He didn't look very well. He was, he was probably 60, 61. And he was very gray looking. He didn't look well. And it's incredible stories. If you look up stuartwilde.com, you can see some of the stories that were posted by him before he passed away. And, his books like Grace Gaia and the End of Days, and one of the books, and there's another one around the same time about, what he was able to see once he was able to psychically, clear his third eye and see into some of the other, like the astral dimensions, and then his meetings with some of these amazing, beautiful creatures, beautiful beings that are in maybe a fairy realm, and incredible stories, and if you don't really know, because you never had personal experience with these, they would be, it's just like another Stephen King kind of story. But, if you've actually personally experienced these kind of experiences that Mr. Wilde went through, yeah, I'm gonna tell you that it's true. What he experienced has to be true because I've had similar experiences. I haven't had these great beings really touch me too much. Many years ago, I saw a trance channel who brought through Ascended Master Sananda. But, getting back to the Congressional Medal of Honor winner and his parents and this deep pain. If I breathe and that pain is here right now, if I breathe and it comes, I should be able to help clear some of this pain. Maybe it won't happen today, but we'll see if we keep thinking about it because, if I can process this pain for them, it'll help free them. Horrible pain. Losing their son in a horrible, horrible way. And, human history is full of countless numbers of soldiers that have died over the centuries. And then, when you learn the horrible truth of it all is these wars are pretty much all planned by what they call the Illuminati, these very dark, evil beings and their henchmen, the ones that own the banks and the stock markets, that have that pay off the crooked politicians, the Jeffrey Epsteins and the Weinstein. How many more, though? There's got to be a lot more. Horrible, horrible things done to humans. So, I might be able to move some of this energy. What happens to the energy? Well, it comes into me and I experience it, and then the body. Sometimes it's just me focusing on the breathing, and then the energies will transmute, they'll change. And, that's what a lot of light workers are doing. We don't really see in the human realm changes. We don't see it, but we're told by certain psychics that we're making progress cleaning up Earth, but with our physical eyes we don't see it. Maybe if you go out into some natural place you see something beautiful, but in the cities with the day-to-day people, maybe a few people. I mean, it's not like there's no people. There's some people who are doing their spiritual work, and they're having a very hard time because the Illuminati are still turning the screws on us so many different ways, financially especially. The cost of living is so expensive. It's gone up so much, and they're doing it by design because they own everything. And, you wouldn't, people, if they hear this the first time, like if you pick up a book by David Icke, who, many years ago, probably before Stuart Wilde, was talking about these evil people that are ruling the world. The reptilians. People say, what do you mean reptilian? Well, like, is it true the British royal family is somehow tied into extraterrestrials, negative extraterrestrials? Is that why Princess Diana was killed? Well, you can go watch a video of David Icke, and you're going to go, well, this guy's off his nut. This is insanity. But what else would I tell you? I did tell you. These groups of people, great financiers that own the banks and the huge corporations, they created wars among enormous blocks of countries. For one, because they make a lot of money on war contracts, incredible amounts of money, war contracts. And number two, the archons, these negative extraterrestrials, they are what I always call loosh demons. What's loosh? It's a negative chi. It's the kind of energy that's given off by, heard the stories about the Luciferians killing children and then getting the blood that's charged with the horrified children, the adenochrome. Well, that's like a form of this negative chi, loosh, and these negative entities, these demonic entities, they survive on this horror done to humans. It sounds crazy. It's a Stephen King thing. It's, it's sci-fi, but it's horror. It's fiction. Well, it's not. Al Gore had his inconvenient truth about climate change. That's not the inconvenient truth. The inconvenient truth is we still have huge numbers of evil entities around planet Earth. And they control a lot of things here. So if you're not psychic, these are just kooky stories. If you're psychic, you'll know, because psychics are sensitive to negative energies. But, if you don't want to believe the psychics and what their experiences are, even Trump brought it up. It's rigged, folks, when he's talking about the U.S. presidential elections. He said it over and over again. It's rigged, folks. It's rigged. And, the slave wage thing, that's basically by design to keep you in fear that I'm not going to make my rent, I'm going to lose my home, my husband or wife is going to leave me, or I'm going to get sick in the United States and I'm going to end up with an astronomical, huge bill that's going to bankrupt me and all my family, And then you learn, well, one story after another about man-made disease. All these stories about coronavirus being a man-made disease. HIV made at Fort Detrick, Maryland. The Army Bioweapons Center by a scientist named Robert Gallo, who was later given, I don't know what the patent or whatever it was on the HIV test. He created a horrible nightmare for so many people, and he profits every time someone takes an HIV test. Enormous profits of the corporations, and so many homeless people on the streets, poor people that are working minimum wage, 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs to try and make ends meet. Vast, enormous trillions of dollars spent on the arms industries. It goes on and on. This is planet Earth, and we're in a direct war. It is a good versus evil war. And the good forces are pretty much handcuffed because, it's not like a normal war. It's not like Vietnam where you both have whatever it was, Huey helicopters and F-5 Phantom and, aircraft, and where you're doing all this fighting with munitions. No, In spiritual warfare, the evil entities squeeze you, in the ways I told you, financially, and they can also send horrible nightmares to you, and they can, because they own all the corporations, they can make it very difficult for you to find a job. You've heard of the stories about targeted individuals, gang stalked. These are all evil entities that have human henchmen. But if you're on the side of good, it's not like, you can go and buy yourself a M16 machine gun to go after these ones when they come. That's not really the way it works. The way it works is you have to hold your vibration at a very high level. And you're still going to be attacked by these dark forces. But you have to hold. It's not, Star Wars is incorrect. Luke Skywalker going and getting his lightsaber and fighting Darth Vader. It's not that. That's completely wrong. In fact, that would really get you in trouble. Because it's not you fighting them, because that's what they want you to do, because warring the way that they do it brings your vibration down. No, you have to be aware that they're attacking you these horrible ways, but pretty much what you have to do is meditate, 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 even when they're attacking you. And they're so, they have all these ways of attacking you by remote control. It's not like drones, it's like a psychic attack. Psychic attack. And the way that you defend it is you keep your meditation going while they're doing psychic attack on you. You just have to live through it. So then how are you ever going to win? Well, it costs them negative chi to attack somebody who's got a high vibration. They got to use up a lot of their loosh that they've captured from all the horrible things they've done. They got to use a lot of it. So, in essence, as long as the light workers keep their vibrations up, then the dark forces have to use up all their horrible negative chi. And then the other thing that the light workers have got to do, they got to still make a living somehow, scrape a living together as a human on the planet. And they got to tell these crazy stories like what I'm telling you. And are you going to believe this? You're a funny guy, Bob. You're a funny guy. Tell me the next story at Halloween. I got to go back to work. And that's how it is. Maybe they're going to really go after you and, get you sent to a psych ward. And when you're in the psych ward, they're going to start giving you all kinds of unknown chemicals by injection, or here's your pill, you got to take your pills. We're going to keep you locked up in maximum security because you've been acting weird. You've been telling people things that are kind of psychic things in unusual places. Why do you do it? Well, you don't really have a choice. When, the spirits come and they want to speak their mind through your body, they're going to do it. So, and medical doctors are not trained in spiritual things. In fact, they're mostly in bed with big pharmaceutical, which is all about turning the screws on people, high prices, and all these legislations that let psychiatrists lock you up. So, in the end, what a lot of light workers might say to you at this point is, put everything else aside that I've talked to you about, and let's talk about your death. Because that's the one thing, fellow human, that you can't avoid. In the end, no one gets out of here alive. Famous statement by musician Jim Morrison. So what do we want to talk about your death for? Clancy keeps saying to me, Beacon, Beacon. My spirit friend, Clancy. He says, Beacon, Beacon. It means I have to go on. I have to go on. I gotta be seen doing what I do, my crazy stuff. I gotta be seen, even, no one watches it, 1 or 2, 3 people from around the world, but I gotta keep doing it. You can't see my aura on your smartphone or your tablet. With my physical eyes, I can't see an aura. But if I muscle test, and, if you don't know muscle testing, well, there's so much stuff that, light workers have got to learn. Not every light worker knows about muscle testing, but I muscle tested for many years, and I definitely have an aura. The body has an aura, and can't see it. But light workers have got auras, just like, in the old paintings of, like Jesus or something. Halo. Do I have a halo? I have an aura. What does my aura do? It's a healing aura. What does it do? I don't even know what it does, but if I muscle test, it's working. It's like when I told you before, I was inducted into Reiki energy healing. That's part of the aura. The Reiki's in my aura. Do I see like people like on a Jesus story, like, somebody who's in a wheelchair, do they get up and walk? No. So what's healing? It's a lot of deep healing. It's not really in words, it's mostly, it's healing. Because it has to do with, when I connected to the Congressional Medal of Honor winner parents. Is that part of the healing? That's part of the healing. My spirits are telling me it's time to wrap it all up. Please subscribe and get ready for more of my Rumpelstiltskin, my spirit friend. He calls these stories for boys and girls, and then he repeats it. Stories for girls and boys, to be, fair to girls and boys when he gets first and second, but they're kind of like ghost stories, but they're not ghost stories, they're fake. They're real-life ghost stories, and they're real stories about healing this planet and changing it into the paradise that it's supposed to be, because it's been hell because of these demonic beings.